Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are located, and welcome to the State of the University webinar presentation today. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Lance Roberts, and I am the interim president here at South Dakota Mines. And I want to thank you again for joining us today with this quick presentation on what is going on in the university. And this is actually a little bit of a practice round for me, as I will give this again next week to the community here in Rapid City. We've invited a number of members from our community, and then the week before school starts, I'll give a similar presentation to our faculty and staff, welcoming them here on our campus. So with that, I'd like to start out with, get my slides to work, there we go. Just a quick introduction to our executive council, and this the executive council has changed quite a bit over the last couple of months, I guess, with the retirement of Dr. Rankin. So I was previously the provost, moved into the interim president position, so left that provost position vacant. So we have named Dr. Jim Stone as our interim provost for now. He came out of the civil and environmental engineering department. He was the department head over there. And then we have a couple of new faces down on the bottom row there. David Crum, who is our new athletic director. He has been with us a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks now. So very excited to have David on board. And then I think many of you met Mark Valencourt. He is our new CEO of CARA. He gave a presentation previously to this group, and he's been here now a couple of months. So very excited to have both of them on board. Always like to show a little bit about our strategic plan. So this plan was originally created in 2018 when Dr. Rankin came in, and then last year we just did kind of a simple refresh of the plan. Unfortunately, the first phase of the plan was right in the middle of COVID, and so this new refresh kind of gave us a chance to look back at what we had already developed and really flush out a lot more of our goals and our metrics. And so we have 5 main pillars, as you can see. And honestly, I would really, if you're interested in obtaining more information about the strategic plan, to check out our website. We have a page dedicated to it. Provides further information about the goals that we have underneath each of the pillars, and then our metrics. And we even have a dashboard where we are tracking each one of our public metrics. So again, just encourage you to check that out. I think it's a great strategic plan. I look forward to continuing it over the next couple of years. It's about a 5-year plan. So just want to give a quick update on the presidential search. So again, with the retirement of Dr. Rankin, I have moved into the interim president position, and there will be a search for the next president. That search will be conducted and sort of oversight by the Board of Regents. So literally just last week, the position was posted. So you'll see it not only in our internal job posting, but on a number of sites, higher education sites, professional society sites. So that launched on August 2nd. Our search committee, again, is being run by the Board of Regents. So Jeff Partridge, which is our local regent here in Rapid City, will chair the committee. The committee has now been formed. We do have a web page on our website that lists the committee members. So there are obviously a number of faculty and staff on it, but also some community members and students. So that has been formed now. Final date for consideration, you see September 22nd. Hold interviews in mid-November, and the idea and the hope is that the new president would be named at the December Board of Regents meeting, and that person, he or she, would start early in 2025. So fairly similar time frame to what happened up at our sister institution, Black Hills State. So we think that we can get it done and get somebody named by early 2025. So let's start out a little bit about talking about outcomes. And I think that's probably a great place to start, because ultimately why we are here is to educate students so they can go out into the workforce. And so we now have updated our academic year 23 placement. So as you can see, overall placement rate was 97%. If the student had an intern their placement rate was 100%. So really speaks to the importance of having an internship. And then you can kind of see some of the other stats there. 190 unique companies, 41% of our students working or attending graduate school in South Dakota. And I think that's really an important statistic. We often hear that our students leave the state once they graduate, but we are seeing that number actually go up year after year. One thing I want to talk about a little bit real quick on this slide is that 97%. We follow the rules set forth by an organization called NACE when we actually do this calculation. And there are really two criteria that we have to abide by. Because this data is all self-reported, if we don't happen to hear from a student regarding whether or not they were placed, we actually have to count them as not placed. So obviously we do as much as we can to make sure that we hear from all of our students. Hopefully before graduation, they know where they're going to go, what their job is going to be, and so we can count them in that placement rate. But if we do not hear from them, NACE criteria states we cannot count them as placed. So we are hopeful that our 97% is actually a little bit larger. The other important criteria is that they have to be working in the industry. So that doesn't mean that a mechanical engineer has to be in the mechanical engineering industry. They can be in engineering in general, but if they go out into any other job, even though they might be gainfully employed, if it's not in the industry, we also need to count them as not placed. So just some criteria that we need to think about, and especially when we're comparing placement rates to other institutions, making sure that they're following that same criteria as well. Here's our top employers. So I'll just give you a chance to kind of look at the list for AY23 grads. So some companies here in Rapid City actually, and within our region, but then many that are not within our region. So pretty good list of companies there. Average starting salary continues to go up, $73,000 for this group. Now, if you look on the right-hand side, you can see the average starting salaries for female versus male. This is the first year in probably 4 or 5 years where the male starting salary is greater than the female. But there's a little bit of a caveat. If you see that highest starting salary there of $118,000 was a bit of an outlier. So that did bring that average male starting salary up quite a bit. If you take that particular data point out, the average female starting and average male starting salaries are about the same. So, but again, just exciting to have our students, really have some great placement and really some great opportunities. Impact of internships. I mean, you heard that the placement rate, if a student has had an internship, is 100%. We have about 50% of our students that have an internship at some point during their academic career. So it's not just the placement, but it's also the average starting salary. And what we have found is that that average starting salary is actually a little bit higher than the average starting salary of our greater student body, $75,000 versus that $73,000. So again, really great to have an internship, and we know that companies are really looking to develop our students through these types of programs. So let's talk a little bit about academic affairs and kind of how our enrollment is going. So just real quick, kind of wanted to show you our various degree programs. We did not have any new programs added this past academic year. But we are talking about a couple of new bachelor degree programs that I would say we would implement in probably a year or two, kind of thinking along the lines of AI, robotics, data science, those sorts of things. So these are just things that we're still trying to figure out, but otherwise degree programs are the same as they were last year. Just a real quick by the numbers. So we are just under 2,500 total students. Now these numbers are from the last academic year, because we don't have the numbers yet for the new academic year that's coming up. And I'll talk a little bit about that on a few slides down the road here, but just under 2,500, and you can kind of see how that breaks out between undergraduate and graduate. We brought in about 570 new students last year. So that's first-time freshmen plus transfers. And then we had about 475 graduate. And again, I'll show you a few slides here, kind of show how those figures have changed over time. 56% graduation rate. That's a little bit lower than where we'd like it to be. We'd like it to be closer to 60. Our goal is actually 65. So we're doing a number of things to try to bring that graduation rate up. Retention rate, which is our basically our first year students returning for a second year, is at the highest that it's ever been, 84%. So really proud about that number. And again, I'll kind of show you how that has changed with time. And then a stat that's actually a couple of years old is we had the Board of Regents hired a company to look at the economic impact from each one of our universities. And so South Dakota Mines had about $131 million economic impact. So here's a graph that just shows our student enrollment in the fall. So we're going all the way back to 2014. And you can see we peaked in about 2016 fall or so. And you can kind of see the different colors. The light blue is, the bluish color is bachelor's, master's kind of the darker blue, PhD is the gold, and then we have some certificate programs and special non-degree seeking. So that comprises our total student enrollment. So obviously we peaked in about 2016 and have dropped off, kind of hit that low around the COVID time period, but then have slowly increased after that. The past two falls, we've been about equal. We don't have official numbers, obviously, for 2024 because the semester has not, or the academic year hasn't started yet. However, we obviously track these things very, very closely. It looks like right now, as far as new students, so those first-time freshmen combined with the transfer students, will probably be about the same as last year. So, around that number of 570-ish or so. Where we are seeing a lot of increase, two areas, is in our graduate students. We think that we're going to have maybe 25 to 30 more graduate students than we typically have at the start of the semester. And then our retention kind of across the board, so not just second to third year, but third to fourth to maybe even fifth, has actually been pretty good so far as well. So we do think that we will be up come 2024 in the fall. So we'll just kind of hope, I'll knock on wood and hoping that that's actually how it figures out. We always get a lot of questions about where do our students come from. And so this is just a quick map of last year. Each dot represents the zip code where a student came from. And then we've kind of color coded it by, the darker area, which is obviously South Dakota is the biggest percentage of our students are from South Dakota. And then you can see followed by Colorado and Minnesota, but really tends to be, more in this region, 7 or 8 state region, although we do get students from all over the country. You can see Louisiana, Mississippi, West Virginia. We did not have any students. And I believe Hawaii was probably another state that we did not have any as well. But kind of overall, you can see those top 15 states. So again, mostly regionally. However, you can see, California, Texas, Washington kind of popping up in those top 15. We are about, I don't think I have a slide on this, about 60% out of state, 40% in state now. Here's our retention. So again, that's that second to third year. So you can kind of see how it's changed over time. Our goal, 83%. You can see we were at 84, so that's pretty exciting. We think that we'll be pretty close to that again, maybe 82, 83, somewhere in there, but still think that we'll be above that 80%. So going into the fall 2024. And the last slide is on this is just, now these are our degrees that we have awarded. So if you recall, our peak in enrollment was 2014, 2015 to 2016. So you can kind of see when those students graduated out in 2017, 2018 or so is kind of when we hit our peak. Dropped off a little bit and then kind of peaked again last year. This year, 2023, you can see we dropped down a little bit again, but we're starting to see students from that COVID year start to graduate. So this year and probably this following year will be a little bit lower, I think, on number of students that we graduate before we start to pick up again. All right, let's talk a little bit about athletics and some of our student activities, things that are going on the campus. So first, just real quick about Hard Rock Athletics and kind of some facts about them. 310 scholar athletes, so that's a pretty good number. If you think, student body wise, 2,500, that's a pretty good percentage of our students that are scholar athletes. 13 sports, and what's really impressive was just how well these students not only do on the field or on the court, but also in the classroom. So fairly decent, really good cumulative GPA. 184 of our athletes that have a GPA over a 3.0. And I know that athletics has some stats, there's so much percentage that even have a 4.0. So it's really great to see how well they perform, both in their sport and also in the classroom. And they are one of our groups that do a lot of community service hours. So they're really reaching out into the community, do a lot of things all throughout the academic year, that are just really great, and really provide a lot to the community, and a lot of scholarships that are raised as well, about $1.4 million. And we just have a number of our athletes that just reach a lot of different milestones, are honored in a lot of different ways. And so I'll just kind of let you read through this slide a bit. Some all region selections, all American selections, RMAC winners, and RMAC champions. So just, again, really great, all the things that our students are doing. A little bit about student development. So this is the area run by our Dean of Students, Joe DeLugos, and just a couple of things that they're really going to be focusing on in this upcoming academic year. One of the biggest things, and I think might be a bit of a surprise to people, is is food insecurity. If you think about a student living on campus, they may have a meal plan. You don't necessarily think that they're going to have a problem getting enough food, but that isn't always the case. They may not have a meal plan that's adequate enough. They may be living on campus but not have a meal plan at all. And so just trying to make sure that our students do have enough food. So there's a Swipe Out Hunger program that Sodexo is our food provider. We're working together with them, so if students maybe run out of food swipes, they don't have enough money on their card to get food, we can actually give them some swipes so they can ensure that they're getting adequately fed. Making sure our community kitchens are equipped with cooking supplies, so if they do have to cook some of their own food, and then also partnering with Sodexo to offer those cooking workshops and nutrition education. And we also have a food pantry here as well that's pretty well stocked. So just making sure that our students, can continue to have that food security. The other big thing that we're working on is something called this personal development promise. So this is outside of the classroom, really trying to develop a number of softer skills, sometimes they're called, but skills that are kind of outside of the typical education for an engineer or scientist. And you can kind of see that the different areas that they have: global awareness, community service, communications, safety and wellness, and finally life skills. And so within each of those areas, we have different seminars that students can attend, and you can see some of the new ones that we've put together for this coming year: negotiation, science communication, healthy boundaries, positive habits, and basics of vehicle purchasing. So again, kind of these things that maybe some of us take for granted that students haven't necessarily experienced. So want to make sure that they have those skills as well when they graduate and go out into the real world. And can't talk about athletics without also talking about our music program, which is also very, very impressive here. And so you can kind of see some of the statistics for that program, about the same number of participants. What's really exciting about the music program is it not only has the students, but it also has participants that are faculty here, that are staff here, and also participants from our community here in Rapid City. So you can kind of see how that breaks down. We have a number of bands, we have a number of choirs, and we have an orchestra. And so you can see all those ensembles down below. The one thing that I really want to highlight, though, with music that I think is absolutely impressive is the scholarships. Back in 2016, we only had about $5,000 in scholarships that were awarded to students. This last year, almost $65,000 in scholarships to 47 students. And we were thinking that last, in 35K, as you can see, the previous year was very impressive, but we just continue to grow that scholarship pool for our students and really have just a really great program here at Mines. And we don't even have any music majors, so it's a great retention tool, great way to get students engaged with different activities. And really exciting, we have our concert choir, a group of students that are going to Austria next summer, July 2025. So 3 cities, 3 concerts. So this is a very exciting time. They are fundraising for this as we speak. Obviously, it's quite a bit of a cost to be able to take this kind of a trip. So you can see the QR code there in the corner if you are interested. We also have this on the CARA website. So if you're interested in giving to this and helping support our students, kind of have that lifetime experience, right, in traveling over to Austria next summer. One thing that was launched last year when Dr. Rankin was here is a President's Leadership Academy, and it's really just an opportunity for a selected group of students to basically participate in a leadership speaker series. And we want to thank the Brass family for providing the funding for this. So this will be the 2nd year of the program. We've got 10 students that have been selected. We had about that same number last year. And so again, they'll attend a number of leadership speaker series, have an opportunity to interact with a number of leaders, not just here in our community, but really just throughout the U.S. and our alumni base. So you can kind of see who we've got lined up so far as far as the speaker series this coming year. And then we'll also include a networking events, a trip to Pier, all expense paid trip to Pier during the legislative session. So this will give students an opportunity to kind of see how things work in Pier during the legislative session, how bills are passed, but also give them access to some folks there for some networking as well. So I think the program went really well last year, so I'm pretty excited to see it continue again this year. All right, moving on to facilities, risk, and services. And let me just take a really quick drink. So let's talk about one of our biggest projects that are actually just finishing up here on campus, and that is our new core mineral industries building, $42 million project. And in fact, this picture was taken probably a couple weeks ago. The fence, construction fence around the front side of the building has now been taken down. They're starting to kind of put in, the finals, or they will be working on some of the landscaping here in a little bit, kind of putting the final touches on it. This building will actually be finished in October, and the new occupants will move in about that time. So really pretty exciting for us. You can kind of see some of the focus areas. So this is mining, geology, geological engineering, and metallurgical engineering. Really a focus on critical minerals initiatives, research and development for Department of Defense. And since the occupants are moving in October, we thought, well, we need to have a ribbon cutting, but that would have put the ribbon cutting probably in like November, December timeframe, which is not really ideal here in South Dakota. So we've moved the actual ribbon cutting to April, which we hope will give us a little bit better weather at that time to really celebrate the construction and finalize this building. So other big thing that we think is coming up here pretty quickly is Surbeck Center. And so this is a project that we've been talking about for many years, about a $10 million project to really expand Surbeck Center kind of in that northeast corner. So sort of towards St. Joseph Street and also towards the parking lot, as you can see in that lower figure there. Really 3 big things that we want to do with this renovation and expansion. And one is really our food service area and our dining area. Right now we have about 250 seats for students. We renovated this in Surbeck in 2008. It really expanded the dining a little bit then, but since that time we've added 3 dorms, both of the Rockers and the Placer, so another 450 students living on campus. So we've kind of run out of some space in that dining area. So this will add another 200 spots for students to sit in that dining area. kind of modernize that area a little bit. The other big thing that we're doing is we plan to build a space out for our admissions department. Our admissions right now is in O'Hara, not the best place, not the easiest place to find, and it's a pretty small area, so it's really difficult to meet with families and prospective students. So by expanding at Surbeck, relocating admissions there, it's kind of a one-stop shop. It's easy to find. Families can park right in the Surbeck front lot. And admissions has a lot of their programming over in Surbeck anyhow. So our Go to Mines events, a lot of our recruiting events with Rapid City area schools are over there. So just give them a nice place to be and make it a lot more efficient for them. And then last, we're going to expand and kind of make the meeting spaces a little bit more efficient, where they'll be flexible, so you can have a smaller meeting space all the way up to a very large meeting space. So very excited about this. We've raised about $9 million literally as of a couple of weeks ago. So we've got about $1 million or so left. We do plan to bid this out in the fall and hope that we can start construction in the spring. And then last, our Vanderboom Laboratory for Entrepreneurial Research, which is the old Ascent building that we purchased a couple years ago using funds from the state. And this was really to expand our research footprint, about 40,000 square foot in that building. We have completed some renovations of that building. So a couple of spaces, as you can see there, SPACT and AMP are completed. We are in progress of renovating a space for a new center called Center for Sustainable Solutions. And then now looking at what are some of the next renovations that we need to meet those future research needs. And we'll talk a little bit about research here in this presentation just a little bit later on, but really excited to have this kind of space now on campus where we can really look at expanding our research capabilities. Let's talk a little bit about CARA, and I think Mark probably talked quite a bit in the last presentation, but here are our campaign pillars. As many of you may know, we are going through a campaign, a $100 million campaign right now. So kind of 5 areas of that. So the MI building, which we talked about, raised a little bit more than what we needed. Surbeck, we're about at 9 million, so just a little bit left there. Programming is for departments, a little bit over, reached a little bit over our goal. Where we are lagging right now is scholarships. We're about 20 million, raised 30 million. We're about 20 million yet to go. So that's kind of our big area that we'll really be focusing on. And then CARA operating, as you can see, is about halfway there as well. So 80 million raised so far out of the 100 million. So things are going really well. And I think that leads nicely into my next slide. As you can see, how much we've raised over the last 3 years. So 2024 was just closed out. Record year again. We've had 3 really good years of fundraising, over 20 million. 2024 almost got us to 22 million. So, we hope if we can have another year, 2025 here, that would really close out our capital campaign. And then our endowment continues to grow. So you can kind of see where we ended in FY24, about $105 million. So really exciting times with respect to that. A lot of different events, and Shelley does a really great job with our alumni engagement. So you can kind of see what we did in FY24, 128 total events, had some virtual events, and just, over 5,000 attendees, non-unique. So really exciting what she's doing, that group is doing, and really trying to get out and engage our alumni in more and more cities across the country. And then there's a lot of opportunities for alumni to just be engaged here on campus as well. And so we list kind of an overall everything that we do with respect to alumni and CARA and some of the other areas on campus. And the areas that are highlighted are ones that really our alumni can be involved in as well. So again, really just happy to have alumni coming back, being able to participate, being able to talk with students, maybe do a class presentation, be a mentor for various students, whatever the case may be. So a lot of a lot of different opportunities for not just alumni, but really a lot of different people to get involved here on campus. And then one of the most important things I will announce today, our 2025 all-school reunion will be next summer. So July 9th through 12th. So a lot of planning going on right now. Rich and Trudy Wells, I think, are really in the thick of it. So pretty exciting. As you know, we were supposed to have the 2020, got canceled because of COVID. So it's been 2021. So we won't quite have 5 years between the reunions, but obviously very excited to have this next summer. And one last thing I want to talk about kind of on the fundraising side. So as I mentioned before, we are looking that our graduate student population is going to be growing, and a lot of that are international students. So right now we're projecting about 45 new international students this year. Now, Cara does have a number of apartment complexes and other housing here along Kansas City Street and really in close proximity to the campus. But unfortunately, that housing is completely full. With 45 new students, they just don't have the capacity. So we do have capacity in the dorms and looking to house those students in the dorms, but there's some additional cost versus some of those apartments. So we're doing a little bit of a fundraising right now for international students to kind of help support some of those housing costs. You can see that in the QR code there. But again, this is also a page. If you are interested, you can go to the Cara website and provide your support or your donation there as well. And we would really greatly appreciate that. Let's kind of finish up here. I think I've got research affairs and then kind of rolling into some of the things that we're doing in the community. So this is our new, I guess, branding for our research that kind of shows the various areas of research that we really are tending to focus on now. So data science, resilient cyber infrastructure, critical and sustainable resources, deep underground science and engineering, and last but not least, advanced materials and manufacturing. So I kind of like this little logo. I think it's pretty clean and kind of really talks again to those areas that we really are focusing on in research. So I won't go through each of these various projects, but I'll just kind of let you guys look at them, some of the things that we've got going on right now. And this is really just a small snapshot of all the different things that we're doing with respect to research on campus. So I'll let you look at this for a second and I'll take a quick drink. Our research awards just continue to grow year after year. So you can kind of see the blue line is our actual awards. So we just went over 25 million in awards for FY24. And then the orange line is our expenditures. So obviously what you actually spend on a research project lags a bit for the awards. So you can see just reached over 22 million in expenditures for FY24. So you can just really see the dramatic increase in our research and what's going on with our research. I think our goal for research was actually 25 million. So we've achieved that goal now. So now we'll have to set it up to maybe 30 million or so, but just absolutely tremendous growth. And where is that research funding coming from? Predominantly, the National Science Foundation is our largest funder of the research that we're doing here on campus, about 38%, followed by Department of Defense, which is about 22%. And then it kind of goes down from there, NASA, state funding, Department of Energy, and then just smaller portions as we kind of go down further. So really exciting again for what's going on in the research area here on campus. Giant vision competition. So you've heard a lot about our students that are doing entrepreneurial type things. So obviously one of the main goals with research is to start companies, startup companies and products and things of that nature. And so we are really working with our students on their business ideas and they compete and they do really, really well. As you can see, we've had just in the last decade, 9 first place winners in the student division and 7 first place winners in the open division. And when they win these contests, they get money, and so they've earned almost $300,000 in awards. So in 2024, we had a first place in the student division. You can see it's a airborne dynamic systems project, and you can kind of read a little bit about it. I don't know if I have a whole lot of other details other than what's there, but obviously looking at something with UAV technology. So again, very exciting to have our students compete in this. And one thing that we always comment to the Board of Regents is we do not have any sort of entrepreneurship formal program here, but yet our students tend to beat every one of the other schools here in South Dakota when it comes to this giant visit competition. And I think this is kind of the last bit of my slides, is just talking a little bit about community engagement, industry engagement. So many of you may know Ann Brettlinger. She was formerly our director in our marketing and communications department. So about a year or so ago, when Dr. Rankin was still here, I moved her into a new office that we've created here called Industry, Government, and Community Engagement, and she's now the director. What we found is that we were kind of lacking that person that could bridge between the university and those 3 entities: the industry, local governments, whether that be state, federal, or here in Rapid City, and also just the community at large, and really staying on top of a lot of the things that are happening within our community, staying on top of some of the legislation, making sure that we're making good connections with the industry. If there's something that Ann hears that a company has a need for, she can make that connection here on campus, or vice versa. So I think it's been a really good role. You can kind of see some of the other stuff that she's really been working on, looking at getting more senior design projects, classroom presentations, tied into the entrepreneurs and residents program, student mentorship, student organization sponsorship. So there's a lot of things that really working with those, again, those 3 entities. And one of the biggest projects that she's been working on is this, what's being called the Innovation District. So it's here in Rapid City. You can see a number of the consortium members. This is actually an EDA grant that was awarded to this particular group to look at the development of technology and development of that technology to create jobs, to strengthen our economy, and strengthen our national security. So we are one of a number of members: City of Rapid City, Elevate, which is our economic development arm here, Caterpillar, which is here on campus doing a lot of different things, Sanford Underground Research Facility up in Lead, the Deep Underground facility, Western Dakota Tech, and RESPEC. And what they are really focused on is a project called the Black Hills Deep Underground Frontier. So how can we tie things like autonomous mining equipment, robotics, and different types of technologies to really advance the mining industry, utilizing surf, for example. So you can kind of see the different things that this project will really focus on, again, with those industry partners. And at the end of the day, it's really, kind of a market assessment and workforce development needs kind of in this area, and then the infrastructure to accommodate its development. So just the phase 1, looking kind of high level. And then after we complete the strategy, obviously this group will apply for phase 2 Tech Hub funding, which is actually, further development of this Black Hills Deep Underground Frontier. So pretty exciting times right now, and a lot of work that Ann is doing throughout the city of Rapid City. All right, kind of wrapping things up here. So here are some upcoming events. It's really, really hard to believe that the summer is just about wrapping up. School will be starting here, now I guess in a couple of weeks on August 26th. So on August 22nd, we actually have our Hard Rockers at Summer Nights. That's that Thursday when students are starting to move in. In fact, our freshmen will have moved in that day. Football home opener. We already had our football players move in last weekend. So their first game is August 29th, was actually a Thursday. So that's pretty exciting to see that they're already here on campus and already conducting their practices. And then before you know it, it'll be Rocker Days, and the semester will continue on. Football at Black Hills is October 5th. What's really exciting about our football games this year is I think we play Chadron and Colorado Mines here. So we've got kind of the big three, Black Hills, Chadron, and Colorado Mines all here on campus. So that'll be pretty exciting. October 11th is our President's Dinner here in Rapid City, and that's one of our nice fundraising events for scholarships. So looking forward to that. Our holiday concerts will be here before you know it, and then our fall commencement is December 21st, which seems a little bit later this year, and it is. But again, the semester will go by very, very quickly, so it will be here before we know it. So I just always like to put in a plug for our rocker shop. So it's not just football season here, but also volleyball season. So we're very excited to, we will be welcoming our volleyball players on campus here, I believe this coming weekend, along with our golf players and cross country. So if you are interested in getting any swag or shirts or caps or whatever the case may be, please check out the rocker shop. They've got a really great website as well. That you can buy online. So, I believe that is my last slide here. Let me see, I've got some questions. Any call to action for the alums? You know, the big thing that I would say with alumni that I think that you can really help is with recruiting in your area. I mean, if there's a neighbor or somebody at your church or whatever the case may be, making them aware of South Dakota Mines. I'm not necessarily asking that you have to go into a high school and recruit, but I think just that awareness. It's really amazing how many of our students, when they come here and we ask them, well, how did you learn about South Dakota Mines? It's from an alumni. Sometimes that alumni is a family member, an uncle, an aunt, whatever the case may be, but also just a family friend. So anything you can do to really get our name out there and put in a good plug for us, I think would be greatly appreciated. SDM will participate in the CHIPS Act. So the CHIPS Act, the money from the CHIPS Act will be distributed to a number of different funding agencies. And my understanding that right now, there's probably two areas that we will participate in. Obviously, our electrical engineering department would participate in some of the development of kind of next generation chips, but also one area that I think is probably going to be, and we're probably going to see some participation is in kind of the strategic minerals area and kind of that critical minerals area, supply chain, making sure that the United States has access to the materials that they need to produce semiconductors. So we're a little bit in kind of the early stages of that, but I anticipate that will probably be two big areas that we will see some research and development. For the presidential search, how can we find remote access or online resumes, video or audio presentations? I don't know if I have an answer to that question because again, we're not the ones that are managing that. But I can definitely, if there is any information, we do have a website that's solely or a web page, that's solely dedicated to the search. So I would encourage you to check that out on our webpage on our website. There we go. I have to get the wording right here. And all information, I assume, will be posted there. Is there a state cap on the percent of non-South Dakota students, including out of state along with international? I can see interest both in, no, there's not if I understand the question correctly, we do not cap the percentage of students that come from out of state. In fact, we are interested in obviously growing our enrollment. We're at 2,500 students right now. We'd like to be up to maybe 2,850 or so. Which would be a combination of both undergraduate and graduate students. And to be honest with you, we are seeing a lot of growth with out of state. Our cost is very, very good, compared to many state schools around our area, not just Colorado Mines, but even the schools in Nebraska, Minnesota. So we're our good return on investment. So students from those states are really looking at us and are interested in coming here. Students in all of the states that touch South Dakota, in addition to Colorado, Illinois, Wisconsin, Missouri, and Kansas, now can receive in-state tuition. So that's very cost effective for them as well. So I do think that we're going to see our percentage of out-of-state students continue to grow over time. Can we get copies of your slide? Yes, I think I can get these to Shelley, and then she can distribute them out. And oh, what are the demolition plans for the old mineral industries building, and how will that space be utilized afterwards? So great, really great question. So yeah, there are plans to eventually demolish that building, mainly because there are state rules. When you add a new building, you have to take a building off. You can't add square footage without a pretty intense process. And the building's, not really in the great shape. There's been some discussion about, well, why don't you renovate it? Turn it into something. But to be quite honest, it has asbestos. It would cost a lot to do that, removal of that material, which we'd have to do anyhow to demolish. But then to actually try to do some sort of renovation is very costly. So yeah, we do plan to tear it down. If you look at our campus master plan, which again you can access through our website, we do have a future building in that location. But that could be many, many years down the road. I think initially probably just turn it into some green space, kind of open up that end of campus. I think it'll make it, campus. I think it'll be a nice perception for campus, kind of coming from the the east and kind of driving towards downtown, not having that building, kind of blocking campus. So yeah, once we are able to demolish it, we will do that and kind of open that space up, and then who knows, maybe, a decade down the road, we have something else that could be, eventually placed in that space. So it looks like, I think that wraps up. Maybe have another, no, let's see some chat here. Oh, yep, Jade. There we go. So Jade in the chat, thank you, Jade, put the link to the presidential search page. So thank you. All right, well, I don't see any additional questions. Thank you, Sharon. I appreciate it. Yes, I was glad to be the interim for now, and we'll kind of see how things shake out in the future. So, all right, well, thank you all. I greatly appreciate you attending today, and feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. We still have the president at sdsmnt.edu, but you can also just reach me at lance.roberts@sdsmnt.edu, and I appreciate any questions or comments that you might have. So thank you, and have a great day.